Hello, Writing Rabble. It's your rabble rouser, author Chris Everhart, back with another session for ordinary people who want to learn to write and publish their books. This is a great place if you're a beginner and you want to learn how to outline, want to know a little bit more about the publishing business, or if you're a seasoned writer, you're just looking for a different way of looking at story. It's a great place for you too. And as always, I have my cohort, Wes Nelson, here. How's it going, Wes?
Good. How are you, man?
Pretty good. How's your week been?
It's been slow. It's been outlining doesn't always feel like the same progress that writing does when it's harder to quantify the work product that's happening when it's not a word count.
Uh-huh.
So it hasn't felt as productive. It hasn't felt as fulfilling. It's felt boring. But I know that it's necessary and it's going to save me more time down the road. But
hmm
yeah, so not the sort of like instant gratification that putting words down feels like.
Yeah.
Drawing on some notebook paper with lines and stuff isn't as fun, but
Uh-huh.
that's where we're at. So I can't keep
Okay.
like writing scenes around scenes that don't really do anything when what I need to do is map out what needs to happen next, and then I can actually get it going. So
Yeah. So, when you say it's going slow, you're talking about your writing progress or what you think of as your writing process, meaning, the number of words you're adding to the book.
yes, the number of
Okay.
words that I'm adding, the amount of time, the way the ideas, they're not firing like they were. So yeah, it's been kind of slow, and it's a lot of it is just due to not having as much time to sit and noodle on it. So
Right. So I was just trying to point out that the rest of your life is not slow.
no,
Right.
it's not slow.
Yeah. So, yeah,
First
it's
first week of school or first week of summer break for the kids. So work has been nuts. So yeah, it's been one of those weeks where I'm like, you know what? I have 10 minutes. That's what I got. And I put down 300 words yesterday and that felt like a win. Then I was
nice.
like, I'm going to take this because it's not been
Yeah.
going well. So
Yeah, well, I like how I asked you if you had any topics today, and number one was how to make more time in the day.
yes.
As far as I know, it's still just 24 hours. I
Shoot.
don't
I
know
thought
of,
you had
yeah.
the answer, Chris.
No, I mean, we've got AI and maybe we'll crack quantum computing,
Yeah.
soon, but we'll probably still only have 24 hours in a day.
We should still tease that on the episode for this
Yeah,
one.
yeah. Hey, I know how we found out how to make more time.
Yeah. Tune in. Like and
Yeah,
subscribe for the answer.
yeah. So, I understand. I definitely sympathize with and empathize with the feeling that you don't have enough time. Okay. And remember a while back I said, I know through personal experience that unlimited time does not equal unlimited productivity, right?
Yeah.
So you're somewhere between 0 time and unlimited time. Maybe closer to the 0 time end, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, my stepson has grown and we don't have little kids at home anymore. So obviously I don't have the same pains that you do. Um, and because it's funny that you're talking about outlining at the same time that you're talking about not having enough time, right? So are those things linked in some way?
I don't want to do outlining. I want to write.
Hmm,
So
yeah.
yeah,
Well, join the
that's
club.
probably that's probably part of it.
I don't want to outline either, but I'm forcing myself to keep going back to the outline on the new projects I'm working on.
That's me too. I'm trying to force myself to do it, and the things that I have to force myself to do, I won't make as much time for.
Yeah. Um, true. I mean, if it's painful, I'm less likely to do it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. So, and we had kind of talked, I think last time we're off last week for Father's Day. Happy
Yeah,
belated Father's Day.
you too.
Not happy belated father, just belated day, or belated happy actually.
Yeah,
Um yeah, so, and one of the things we talked about was the idea that possibly with a more robust outline, we'll call it filled out, right? Um, that would enable you to do those shorter writing um, sprints or
yeah,
sessions where you could match what the outline needs
yeah.
and do that in 300, 500,000 words or whatever you have time for.
Hmm.
So did you go back to um did you go back to outlining at some stage last after we talked last time?
Yeah.
Okay. And where did that bring you with your outline for the story?
I mean, it helped flesh out. It helps, and it gave me some spots to go for next. It's just now connecting those dots and connecting the story, and maybe overthinking about how things are going to flow together too much, and then getting stuck in some sort of analysis paralysis or something. I don't know. It did help. Um, Not as much as I wanted it to.
Okay.
I don't know what that means.
Well, it could be that you don't have the outline filled out to the point where it's going to be helpful,
Yeah,
right? Or it was up to this point, and
yeah,
now you're finding maybe you need more outline
yeah,
there. Okay.
yeah.
So have you used the Google Doc for outlining, or are you using Scrivener, or what are you using for your outline?
Pen and paper at home.
Okay, got it. All right. Well, let's have a look at the story hill
Okay.
and see if that um well, we'll see if that helps. Okay, here we go. All right. So here's our story hill. Matter of fact, let me squeeze this down a little bit, see if we can get it bigger in there. All right. So, now as always, there's just a lot of information on here, right?
Yeah,
But maybe we can identify some spots where it would be more helpful for you to get some information in there. So if you were, I keep getting limited bandwidth video quality things, so hopefully that's not going to be. We'll get the whole thing on video. If we don't, we'll just do it again next week. What do we care?
yeah,
So if you're looking at this overall, as a matter of fact, let's go down one, two. Oh, that was in my other thing where I broke it out. Okay, so do you have your call to adventure filled in?
yeah.
Okay, that's the 10% mark.
Hmm.
The 25% mark, do you have your inciting incident?
Yeah,
Okay. Do you have some of the challenges of learning,
yes,
which I think we kind of talked about, sort of might add up to like 3 challenges, right, of
yeah,
escalating difficulty?
right.
Okay. Do you have 3 of those of escalating difficulty, do you think?
Probably like one and a half.
Okay. Well, there's one place that we can work on.
Okay.
All right. Okay. And do you have the goal change at
Yeah,
50%? You
yeah,
do?
yeah.
Okay. Do we have the sheltered win right before the 50% goal change? Sheltered World win, I call it. And that's where something goes right based on the protagonist's skills and knowledge up to this point.
I feel like I do.
Okay. What would that be?
He he goes to turn in the luck cartridges at the slumlord at Bill's slumlord factory, and he gets attacked there, and but he's able to get out of there by using his powers in a new way for the first time.
Okay. All right. And then the goal change is what? What happens at the goal change?
It's the bridge scene where there is a bunch of school buses on a bridge, a bunch of kids and a bunch of people are caught in this mega snowstorm. Things are bad, and all these luck farmers show up to feed on the tragedy. And Russ sees this, has a change of heart, runs into an ally who Frank, the patchouli guy, who is actually there helping out. And Russ realizes that he's going to turn flip sides and be on Team Good from now on.
Oh, okay. Nice. Nice. And then is there an attack shortly after that?
No.
Okay. So looking at the story hill, we'll call it phase 4 or mile 4,
Yeah.
whatever we're
Yeah.
calling it. Second half of the second act. There is something that it's almost like the inciting incident, right? That propels the character into the next phase
Yeah.
where they're going to be frantically trying to apply the skills that they have and knowledge that they have. Then and that is sort of embodied in the challenges of applying
Yeah.
and what those 3 challenges might be. Roughly 3.
Okay. I have a scene where he's watching his daughter play hockey, and they're just getting spanked by this team that's way better, bigger, stronger, faster, and he accidentally uses his powers. And that's where I have that in that unsheltered world attack, but it just doesn't work there.
Wait, Unsheltered World win or I'm sorry, Unsheltered World attack is where you have that.
I have that there, and it just doesn't make any sense to go there.
No, um, because I think we're moving well out of the ordinary world at this point.
Yeah.
Um, and trying to think of what I mean, that could be in the challenges of well, let's see. Yeah, that could be in the challenges of learning, I think.
Yeah.
That's a cool sounds like a cool scene. Could be one of
Yeah.
those where, yeah, you help some win or whatever, but then it's like, "Oh, no, I shouldn't have done that."
Yeah.
Right. And he can't, if it is that they win the game because of that, he can't tell his daughter, "Well, it's because I did something," right?
Right.
So that is an interesting place, and I think that's more of a sheltered world kind of, scene, right?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. And, okay, now what about as we get to the 75% mark, the false victory by the protagonist, and then the actual victory by the antagonist?
So I have an idea where there is a sort of like salons, like little franchises around the cities kind of like where you would go to get liposuction or Botox, but it's for high-end luck customers. And I have this idea where Frank and Russ go on sort of like and maybe there's more allies. I think I need more allies, but maybe there's like a team that's fighting back, going rogue, going undercover, and they're going to go try and take down one of these luck salons. And that's where I kind of get into like the belly of the whale, because there's going to maybe some kind of trap that gets laid for them. Maybe
Okay.
that's where a false victory can happen. So I kind of have it all wrapped up into a scene like that in my head right now. Nothing's really been written out, but
Okay. Yeah, so I'd focus on, taking your little bits of time to write those out,
okay.
because that sounds like like your challenges of applying, right?
Yeah. Okay.
What he's learned up to that, goal change point.
Yeah.
So they have a new goal, and now he is getting some success based on what he's learned about this whole world and about his own power. But each of those is going to be a challenge, right?
Yeah.
And then, at that false victory point, he gets that, he has that moment where, like they get inside or they get out of somewhere or something like that, only to find out that, the antagonist has duped them or tricked them somehow.
Yeah.
Wow, I have extremely low bandwidth here for some reason.
Oh.
And I can't, yeah, it's weird. Let's see. And I've turned practically everything off. Um, all right, so then let's talk about. Okay, so then he's going to go through that low point, right?
Yep.
Then the awakening. All right. Then the new plan, and then the climactic battle,
Yeah.
and the true win, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, have you figured those things out yet?
No.
Okay, so you still are working on the crisis stage.
Yep.
Okay. And the crisis stage is just is the low point, their wake up, the new plan, the battle, and the win.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
it's gonna come down to a showdown with Bill at the water tower, the
Okay.
Kenwood water tower. I mean, that's I like that, but it's just getting there.
Right. Okay. And is that
Uh-oh, I lost you,
okay? Are you there?
which you can't hear because you're. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh,
All right.
okay.
Yeah, for some reason the man, I am just not getting good I think it's odd because you know what? I bet it's EV Mux that's having the bandwidth problem. Um because my
I think I lost you again.
All right, there you are.
There we go.
Okay. Yep. All right. So, so the materials that I've created so far,
Yeah.
are those or can they be helpful in helping you fill out these points so that you can get to get the outline that you need to that may help you work in those shorter sprints?
I think the materials are good. I understand. It's just the ideas. Honestly, it's just time. It feels like I need to sit down with it and sort of just draw it out for myself on a big whiteboard or a big chunk of paper and just like, because the story starts to lose its cohesion the longer it seems like I work on it. You know, I had ideas that I was doing 3, 4, 5 months ago or whenever we started this now, and sometimes I go back into Scrivener, I'm like, I kind of like this, and I'm like, yeah, I wrote this like 6 months ago, or it feels like, you know. So keeping the story like in here and just like constantly running, that's super challenging right now. So I think I'm learning that, you know, part of it is just having this sort of visual aid, and that's what I want to try next, is putting it all out there, um and then just sitting down with it. Sometimes I feel like I just want to like run in and just like quick finish it off, and I know that's going to suck if I do that, but on the other hand, it's a first draft, so I don't know.
Yes. It's the classic problem, to outline or not to outline, right? And my thing lately is, as I've said, is that I'm forcing myself to get back to the outline
Yeah.
because I want to jump into a scene and start writing it, but then I find out that in the writing of that scene, it changes the course of the story, and
Yes.
then it gets kind of locked into my mind,
Yep.
and then I'm trying to work that thing that I really pantsed. I'm trying
Yeah.
to work that into a cohesive story that it doesn't cohere with or
Yes.
correlate with, right?
Yes. Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah.
I fully understand that.
Yep. So that's why I'm forcing myself to get back to the outline.
Yeah.
Outline, 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 right? To get back to the central conflict, the spine of the story,
Yeah.
and continue doing, because you say it almost every week. It's a lot more fun to just sit down and write,
Yeah.
and it it definitely can be.
But when I
But
do that, it just goes off. It just goes. It
yeah,
has a mind of its own in it, and by the time I'm done, it's not. It's off the rails, on a different track. It's in a different state by the time I'm done with it.
yeah, you should start playing Soul Asylum's Runaway Train as soon as you sit down to write. Yeah, and I totally understand that. And yeah, I can totally relate to it. So hold on a sec, my focus is shot again. Seems like every time I move, my focus goes away. Okay, anyway.
There's some deeper metaphor there.
Yeah, isn't there though? So what I was about to say was quite profound, and that is that the feeling of accomplishment and joy that you will get when you type the end
Yeah.
on the last page of your manuscript
Mm-hmm.
far outweighs the fun of the discovery writing,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I never thought
So,
of it that
and
way.
this this is where the D word that we don't like, discipline, comes in, right?
I don't even know
And
what that word means. You just said something in a foreign language. I have
yeah,
no idea.
exactly. I don't. Yeah, I'm not a very disciplined person by nature, so it is like constant. And the fact that I've been writing for 20 years, and I can I'm having a hard time understanding how I got anything done before I figured this stuff out, right? And before I started making myself do outlines and follow them. And I'm still struggling with it. It's not second nature yet. Um, but I recognize that I have to keep going back to those basic tools, because my experience tells me that if I don't if I don't outline, if I don't make these decisions ahead of time, if I get something finished, it's going to be a lot harder than it has to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. And believe it or not, I'm learning this to a large extent by working with AI.
Really?
Yeah. Because I mean, it'll do outlines for you, but they're not great outlines,
Mm.
which means that then I have to go back and, I have to know how to do a good outline and how to include what I want,
Yeah.
how to make it general and specific at the same time,
Yeah.
right? So, there was something that I was doing a week or two ago where I was trying to get I think it was an 800 word synopsis written for a series that I wanted to start. And I was just banging my head against this, trying to make it work. And then I realized that I was being way too detailed,
Oh,
that that I wasn't just covering the beats of the story, in a general way. I was trying to stuff detail in there that may not matter at that point,
yeah.
you know. So we have to have the skeleton first, and then we can put flesh and muscle on it and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really forcing me to go back and go back again, go back again, and to really um, be more specific about what I'm doing at what stage.
Yeah. So what's working for you? How are you managing to do it?
I am sometimes literally stepping back or moving back away from my computer and saying, "What am I doing wrong?"
Yeah.
Right? I'm complicating this way too much,
Yeah.
right? What's in there that doesn't need to be in there, and what's not in there that needs to be in there,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, and what's not in there or what's in there is interesting things about the universe, interesting quirks or thoughts about the character,
Yeah.
um, uh, action that doesn't belong in there really at this point. All these things that I don't want to let go of, basically, because they're clever and they're fun, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, that's what's in there. And then
Yeah.
what's not in there, because I've got it so crammed full of stuff that doesn't belong at that stage. What's not in there is central conflict,
Mm-hmm.
right? The external conflict between the two main characters,
Yeah.
right? Those are the things that matter at that stage, right? And at this outline stage. So here we are back at the outline.
I thought we were done.
Yeah, no, not even close. What I was thinking of earlier too, though, is that I have, and I think I created one for you. I have this stuff on Google Docs,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then I'm literally looking at my phone right now. I've got Google Docs on my phone. So I can pop into editing mode anywhere, anytime, and
Yeah.
type in notes and stuff like that. So rather than having to look for your pad, oh crap, did I leave it at the office? Oh, it's in the bathroom at home, or I don't
Yeah.
want to take it out right now, right?
Yeah.
You can just jump onto your phone, onto
Yeah.
the app, and fill it in there. But now, if you want to do some discovery writing just to stay loose and have some fun, maybe uh, pick a different storyline or different universe or something where you
Yeah.
can do some short stuff in,
Yeah.
right? And if that's what you need, because often I need that in order to stay interested. I mean, I'm
Hmm.
not like totally down on myself, but um, so, but I'm just trying to teach my creative mind to be more disciplined and more linear, so
Yeah.
that the end result is more full and creative.
Yeah.
Um, so yes, it's true. You don't have the time to figure out what's wrong every time you sit down to write.
Yeah.
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 So that's kind of the burden, right? Every time you sit down to write, oh crap, I got to figure out what's wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And that doesn't that doesn't serve the story,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So, one of the problems that I've always had, and that I'm having now with AI tools, is I'm trying to force my way of doing things onto the process. And I just have to start admitting that, man, that ain't working, right?
Yeah.
So I have to do things differently. That I'm the weak link. So that's the challenge, is that
Yeah.
if I want to get more done, I you know I need to work with the tools. It's just like if I want to get from here to Des Moines, I can do the old hoof it. I can. That's the easiest way to do it, is on my feet, but it's going to take me a week to get there. Whereas I could drive there if I learn how to operate a car.
Yeah.
I could drive there in a few hours.
Right. I'm picking up
So
what you're laying down.
yeah. So we gotta get you back to the outline.
Hmm.
There are a couple of things. Let's see. Let's have a look at this quick. Let's spotlight again. All right. Now, as I go down here, okay, so we got central conflict. So this is all the sort of stuff, right? All the things. Now we get phase one. Okay, so you can answer these questions about wound and character flaw. Oh, so what I was trying to say is, let's figure out a way or a time for you to compare. Because I don't know, I can't remember now for a while I was updating your document every time I updated mine,
Yeah.
but then I think you had done some notes and writing in there, so I couldn't really go in and update them. But
Oh,
we'll have to make sure that you have the ability to check what you've got against this, right?
okay.
All right. So, so these things are the things that you want to go through, right? And make sure
Yeah.
that you've got them. And remember, the red ones are the top line ones, the ones that you go first. And the blue ones are character development, and the black is plot. So I think what maybe we should do is we should find a time to go over this, and maybe we do this next week, go over it in detail to make sure that the flow of this actually works for you as a writer,
Okay.
right? So I don't know if all or any of this looks really familiar, but I mean, a lot of it should, but I also think I reformatted some of it,
Okay.
you know. So and you can put in your notes under each of these places, right? Under each of these plot points.
Yep.
So, can you take the next week to bit by bit fill this in
Hmm.
with what you've got so far
Yep.
and leave the rest blank or question marks or whatever? And then we can look over that when you've gotten it set up. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna send this to you right now.
Okay.
So actually, oh, you already have access to this. If you go into Google Docs.
Okay.
Yep. If you have any trouble, just let me know.
Okay.
So I think that, what you've got going on here is you've got a bit of you have a bit of a mania going.
Yeah.
You're having a little bit of a freak out based on, it's kind of like what we call generalization in evolutionary psychology, and maybe or neuropsychology. There's a principle called generalization. And generalization is what allows us to look at a tree, for example, and say, oh, that's a tree,
Yeah.
right? The leaves are pretty today or whatever. And that's that principle. But, so it's good in that way. It allows us to, observe the world and the differences. The problem is that generalization can also work against us.
Mm.
where
Yeah.
where one thing is not working, and so we generalize it to say that everything's effed up, right?
Mm.
When the
Yeah.
truth is you're doing pretty good, right? You're a lot farther than you were, and you're beginning to understand it, but you're just having one of those moments where where things aren't really coming together in a coherent way, right?
Right. Yeah.
And why should they? Because you haven't developed the story all the way,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. That
So
makes a lot of
next step, what?
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So next step is to just take a minute to yourself while you're in the car or something, and decide that, yes, I want to finish this story,
Yeah.
right? And I'm gonna do the steps,
Mhm.
and we'll, because I've done it the other way. So let's find out what this way does.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that's got to be my motto. It's like, I've already tried the other way.
Yeah.
So it's not going to hurt me to try a different way of doing things.
Right.
And then I think you'll feel, as you get the outline filled out, and maybe there's 2 or 3 different options for each one. Um, and you want to be careful not to get into uh trying to figure out every scenario as it pertains to the bigger story.
Okay.
I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's like sometimes here, put it this way, make choices. Even though you're afraid they're not going to be the right choices, just make the choices.
Okay.
That will simplify things.
Okay.
And then once you have the outline filled out, then we can figure out if, yeah, this choice is working or that choice is working,
Okay.
right? And remember the mirror effect of the story,
Yep.
that if one way of figuring out what goes in the first 10% of the story is look at the last 10% of the story
Yeah.
and see how those contrast
Yeah.
and how they kind of inform one another. A little bit of an option there, so there are a lot of tricks that you can learn or that you can develop, yourself based on trial and error. Um, and I am by far not the only source. I'm always looking at YouTube to find out, how do I get unstuck, or how do I figure this out, or how do I figure that out? And there's a lot of good, different perspectives out there that might help as well.
Okay.
Um, but I think that you may be at one of those points where you're really seeing how much the organization matters to the story. And
Yeah.
it's like, I don't want to work this hard. I didn't think anybody worked this hard on, on stories. Well, it turns out they do. They always
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
It just looked easy.
Yeah. And there's things you can half-ass, and this is not one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's true too. So, yeah. So once you have a full outline, we can really dig into it and kind of walk through it and
Yeah.
compare and make the deeper decisions or the adjustments. How's that?
Yeah.
But yeah, you have to make a choice. I get that, what I call menu mania too. It's kind of like, when I'm really hungry and I go into a restaurant and I look at the menu and
Oh,
can't decide what I want to eat. It's like I'm really hungry.
yeah.
I should
Yeah.
be able to decide. I should be able to
Right.
choose. And it's like, no, everything looks good.
Yeah.
That you may be in that sort of a zone right now.
Yeah. It feels like that for sure.
Okay. So do you think that will help take some of the pressure off?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going back to the outline.
Back to the outline.
Yeah, I hate it. Like I've always said, I always wanted to play the guitar like Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah.
I didn't want to learn to play the guitar like Jimi Hendrix. That's too much work.
No.
So, but for some reason, I'm willing to put in the work to learn how to do this. So it's working so far.
Yeah.
All right, man.
All
Anything
right.
else for today?
No, that feels like enough.
All right. Well, yeah, I beat you up for 40 minutes, so that ought to be good enough.
Yeah.
A good start. All right,
Yeah.
I'll play us out.
Okay.
All right, thanks for joining us, Writing Rabble. This was a short but sweet session, just talking through where, how, why Wes may be blocked on his story. One of the things was about having enough time to write, and one of the ways to make the time you have work out is to take the time to fill out the outline so that when you have 15 minutes, half hour to sit down and do some writing, that those important story points are mapped out, and that can allow you to actually get more done. So sadly, we have to go back and redo the work to develop the story. Happens to me a lot. Learning to be more disciplined so that I can get more done. And the Writing Rabble is all about not geniuses. Not that we're not geniuses, but not that we're New York Times best-selling authors, John Steinbeck, Stephen King, but that we as ordinary people have the ability to write our stories and get them out to the readers. So that is what we worked on today. And we hope you join us next time, and we'll have even more exciting outlining stuff to talk about. Until next time, Writing Rabble, butt in chair, words on page. Bye now.